for a night. And joining us is Rikki Zucker and Vicki Lix, drag king and queen, respectively. And you guys have a couple of cool things coming up, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But this is our first time meeting. If you don't know me, I love drag. I'm a huge fan, and I'm from the sidelines watching it. And you guys both do drag, but in very different ways. And I guess this will be for both of you, the questions, but we will get into the more specifics. What made you guys want to get into drag, first of all?
Well.
So, Vicki, yeah, you go first.
Yes, this is Vicki. I don't know. It's, whenever you have something that you're really passionate about, I think it just happens naturally. I don't think you really think about it. So I've always done it since I was 5 years old. I was always putting on my mom's leftover wooden beads and ratty wigs and brown floral dresses. So I've been doing this forever, essentially. But
okay.
Yeah.
And so, Rikki, for you, how did you get into it?
So I actually don't do drag. I help the drag kings get ready. So I do their hair and makeup.
Okay, so you facilitate the drag.
Yes.
For these women who want to dress as men,
Exactly.
which I'm fascinated by, because typically when you think of drag queens, and you think very over the top female impersonators, which is more what Vicki you do. What you said you started as a kid, you got into it. What was your mom's reaction?
Well, I mean, she was the person who put me in it in the first place, so she was, so this is the party for everybody, right? But, I don't know, I mean, later on, when I was doing it in high school and stuff, because I just always ended up doing drag roles for some reason, because I was funny when I did it.
Yeah.
So I did it, and my mom once asked me, she was like, are you trying to become, transgender? What's going on? I'm like, no, this is just performance. It's just how I like
and
to
that is a big question for a lot of people who do drag, is that do you want to be a woman?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's no, drag is what I do, and a man is who I am, or vice versa. And so what was the first time when you went up on stage and you performed in drag? What was that like for you?
So I think I started about 7 or 8 years ago now that I've been doing it kind of professionally, where before I was very amateur. I would just get up to dress up for my birthdays or pride or events like that. So about 8 years ago, my background is comedy, so I do stand-up and drag primarily, and song parodies and those kind of things. So I'm not really versed in the lip syncing world, which is where a lot of drag queens come from, but I did stand up in drag, which was kind of the first time for both.
Okay, and how do people react to it?
Well, the first time, not great.
Oh.
But, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah. You gotta start somewhere.
It was pretty devastating the first time, but it was kind of the worst show I've ever had in my life.
Oh, okay, well, then good it was the first one.
And I was like, if this is the worst show I've ever had, I can't go further down. This is as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
So I can only go up, and it's proven to be true.
Well, and it's great, and it's, where it's so easy to quit and get discouraged. I think it's those times when you can pick yourself up and say, you know what, that can be the worst, but I'm going to still keep it going and do what I love to do. Now, you guys are doing Project Drag Queen, Vicki, in which you're taking part in.
Yes.
Now, there's a class show coming up on May 22nd at Church on Church, but why don't you walk me through the process a little bit?
So, I can tell you about Tracy Aaron Smith, who I'm collaborating with to create this course, and she created solo theater about 10, 15 years ago, I'm not sure. But I took her solo course, which was a one-person show course, about 5 years ago, to help my own drag show for one person, whatever. Anyways, it was amazing. It was the best thing I've ever put my money into, and and it helped create the drag queen that I am today.
Well, and let's just kind of touch on that a little bit. You are you've obviously have your identity as your boy self, and then you've got your identity as Vicki Lix, this character. What is Vicki like?
We're the same, but it's just a little bit more heightened, I suppose.
Yeah,
This is like if you take I don't know, I don't want to give a drug reference, but if you take a little bit of an upper, that's what happens when you're going to drag. Just because you have an empowerment, right? It's not the same as if you're walking around in normal boy drag, this is drag as well. Everybody's in drag in their own way.
Well, and RuPaul says that we're all born naked, and the rest is drag. So for you get into drag, and it's just kind of a heightened version of yourself. And we'll get back to the Project Drag in a second. But so what's your signature look?
When I first started, that was my big thing, was coming up with a signature look, because all the queens that I loved, like Coco Peru, Jackie Beat, RuPaul, they all had that signature look, the signature wig, the outfits, everything. So I had like a teased out bob, and I always wore sequins, and that was kind of my look for years. And then I kind of realized that you need to grow and evolve, especially nowadays in drag. So I don't really have a signature look at this point. It really is versatile as can be, and I think that's where every drag performer needs to be at this point.
Well, and I think that the Toronto drag scene is so huge, really. It is such a big community, and I guess in a sense a small community too, but it really is in reinventing yourself and coming up with new performances. How often do you have to change up your performance?
Well, again, I do a different type of performance from a lot of the queens that are already established in Toronto. So mine is comedy based and parody, and so I write new parodies whenever a good song comes out. So basically, it's whenever a good track comes out, I'll write a song about it, and then we'll see if that's a hit or not.
Awesome.
That's what makes it.
Oh, cool. And so, we'll keep talking about this. We're going to take a break in just a second. How would you describe the scene in Toronto?
Amazing. We have some of the best drag queens in the world, and I'm not saying that because I'm here. I'm saying that because as Canadians, period, Canadian entertainment, we have to work so much harder than any other entertainment business in the world. So the queens here are so well-rounded and so on top of their game. Like, there's nobody that could beat them anywhere else. I guarantee if these queens were allowed to be on an American version of Drag Race, they would take the crown, no question.
Well, and that's what I'm saying too, where I'm looking at the lineup of queens that are on RuPaul's Drag Race, the show in the States, and I'm like, well, I could name off like 10 right here in Toronto that are way better. It's just the opportunities and the borders that doesn't help things either. Now, Rikki, we'll talk a little bit about drag kings coming up next, but I'm really fascinated just by looking at me for now. Who do you think I could play as a drag king? Could I be like a Bieber, a Justin Bieber?
Maybe Neil Patrick Harris.
Ooh. I think you could be anyone you want to be.
Oh, I love that idea too. Okay, so we're going to get back to this in just a second. Right now, though, it's time to take a look at your AM640 chopper traffic. Here he is.
Talk Radio, AM640 and HD Radio.
7:44 here in studio with a couple of guests, Vicki Lix and Rikki Zucker, drag queen, and also a makeup artist is your professional title, and you're kind of a facilitator for those who want to become a dude for a day. And this is something that sounds really cool. It's happening March 20th at the Gladstone Hotel. Rikki, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what Dude for a Day is?
So Dude for a Day is a workshop that Tracy runs every couple of months. And basically women come and they learn to become a dude, and then I come in and do the hair and makeup, and they do a photo shoot, and we go out to a bar and they find their man. It's actually quite interesting to see them go from this very feminine person into this, like, sometimes this big burly biker dude.
Yeah, and I love the idea of breaking down the walls, like the gender walls. Like, you're expected to be so many things as a woman and as a man, and basically this is just tearing that all away, and you're really able to kind of show your personality without these gender-specific things. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with the idea of drag, is because it really allows that to shine through. And for the Dude for a Day, so if someone listening right now is out there and is like, well, I'd like to know what it's like to feel like a guy for a day. So you go in and because I've seen pictures, the makeup is incredible, and there's so many things that you can do with makeup to transform. But what are some of the physicalities and the things that people do to become a dude?
Well, they learn to walk differently. They learn to own the room versus being a woman where we sometimes hide in the corners.
Yeah.
Whereas dudes, they just really they walk in and they're like, I'm here. This is my space. They take up more space in the room. They learn to lower their voice more so that
like this,
they sound more manly. Oh. And
like this.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. We got a real man in the room.
So now we do it at the Gladstone, and we always go for brunch downstairs, and it's quite interesting to see people's reactions to this table of dudes. We get a lot of double takes, and then some people they just think that they're guys. They just transform completely.
And so that's the next question I want to get to is people's reaction to this, because you know, a lot of people just don't really know how to react, and you say double takes and things like that, and then after, when these women who have become dudes for a day go out and kind of find their inner dude, what's the reaction that people have usually, like out in the clubs afterwards?
So after I've talked to some people after, and they say after this class they've really learned to become more dominant and become more stronger in certain things. It's really cathartic for them. Like sometimes they're going through something and they need to find their just more manly, more just to be stronger.
Yeah, and I like the idea of taking up more space. Yeah. And it's something as women we don't often think about, but it is really important and a really interesting idea when you're thinking about, you know, the world we live in today. Now, on the flip side of that, we've got women who want to become dudes for a day. And Vicki, this Project Drag kind of class that you are putting on with the solo theater, which is full right now, as I understand, but we can see the fruits of all the labor coming up May 22nd at Church on Church. Can I walk me through that process?
Yeah, so it's a course for not just men, it's for women as well, and transgender people, whatever. It's for anybody who wants to be a drag artist, essentially.
Okay.
So not just queens, not just for everyone. It's inclusive, not exclusive. And our goal with this course, it's a 10-week course with a showcase at the very end at Church on Church, like you were saying. And our goal with the course is to kind of give new or artists that have been around for a little while but just need a little bit more direction that they're feeling they need, putting them in the right direction, essentially. So it's through 3 modules. It's through the inner queen, the outer queen, and the performance. Ooh. So we're working from the inside out, essentially. It's not where you're just putting on makeup and a dress and that's it, you're a drag queen. There's way more to it than that, and that's what I think has been lost in the drag scene. Ooh. In the last few years, especially since drag has become much more mainstream. Usually when you started drag, and when I started drag, you had to have all your bases covered. You had to know yourself inside and out before you would even leave a house to do a performance. And now I have noticed a bit of a change. It's not a terrible change, but there has been a change. And we're just trying to kind of reset to that point where
because it's not just
that drag holds.
You're right, it's not just about having a beautiful face and hair and makeup. You really do need to have something else to offer, because people will see right through you. And I have noticed the trend in drag, especially with the more mainstream drag, is that, and some of the critiques, is that it's just, you're just wearing a bra and underwear and you're going up on stage and lip syncing.
Right, and it's not about the superficiality of it, because that's part of drag for sure.
Of course.
But drag queens began because we had a point of view and because we wanted to make change in the world.
Awesome,
and that is what we need to get back to. That's my passion as a drag queen, and that's what I want to instill in the future of drag. And I'm all for looking good and feeling gorgeous.
Yep.
But let's look good, feel gorgeous, and make a change in the world.
Yes, for sure. Well, so great. And for more information, people listening right now, if they want to get involved, solo, SOULO.ca. And if you're interested in the Dude for a Day, you can also register by March 15th, and we'll post that info as well. But franny.solofest@gmail.com for more info on that. Anything else you want to say about becoming a dude for a day or becoming a wonderful drag queen?
It's a great experience. Everyone who's taken it has really gotten something out of it.
I want to start walking around like a dude.
I feel like everybody needs to kind of express themselves in some way. It doesn't matter if you're a businessman, everybody has their own form of drag. Whatever you're putting on is drag.
We all put on some sort of costume.
Exactly. And we've said this already a couple times, but we can say it over and over, and people won't really understand it until they experience
until you do it.
Walking in somebody else's shoes, quite literally.
Totally.
And it changes your perspective on life, and it changes your perspective on like what the world needs to make it a better place.
Yeah.
And it really transcends just the basic life that we live in our own drag.
Yeah,
so to just experience outside of that is unbelievable.
Yeah, there's so much darkness in the world already. You just gotta throw some glitter on it.
Really, just throw some glitter on it, but have a point of view.
Oh, how about a glitter mustache? Yes, with a point of view. I love it all. Thank you so much for coming in, Rikki Zucker and Vicki Lix. Definitely be sure to catch you guys on stage and in the works with your makeup artistry and that. So we'll post the links as well. Solo.ca if you want more information. It's time to take a break. We'll be right back on AM640.